The beautiful thing about ClickUp is that you can use it to manage pretty much anything. And I'm going to walk you through the hierarchy and how you can use that to manage pretty much anything that you'd like to do. So let's go ahead and dive right here into ClickUp. So let me just make sure that we have that wonderful share happening. So now you can see my ClickUp workspace. So let's start by talking about the hierarchy, first of all. So what you're seeing right here is ClickUp. Hooray. And so for this, you have your workspace. And so your workspace is basically like your home, and you have everything contained within that one workspace. When you think of it almost like a house, you have that house, which is a standalone building, and you have to enter it to be able to access the things that are inside. And that's kind of the same way with your ClickUp workspace. You'd have to invite someone inside it in order for them to be able to access it. That's the way with ClickUp, where you have that workspace. If this doesn't quite look the same as yours does, this little cog right up here at the top, go to layout, size, and style, and we have multiple different layouts that you can use right here. We're going to switch over to the simple layout, which is one that all new workspaces have, and so we'll be operating within that. If you'd ever like to poke around and change, you can go to that little cog, layout, size, and style, and there you can access the different options there for your views. So what should you use spaces for? What should you do with folders and lists and tasks? Oh my. So when it comes to setting up your productivity and what is going to help you best, think of your spaces as being like those rooms in your house. So if your house is anything like mine, you may have a kitchen. You may have a dining room. You may have a bedroom. And every single one of those rooms has a purpose and a reason. And so, with that, you'll use spaces to act like those rooms. So, right here, we do have this space and it's empty. So, it's a world of possibilities. So, one of the first things that we talked about was we want to be able to manage some habits or some home improvement things. And so let's go ahead and make a couple of spaces for different things that we would like to manage. So let's go ahead and at this space, you can click this ellipsis menu. As a life hack right here, you can use the ellipsis menu. Anytime you see those three dots, that means that there is a menu hidden behind it. And in the space settings, you can change that name. So we're going to call this one Home Improvement. So we're going to have that space for our home improvement projects. And then let's go ahead and add another space right here. And we're going to say, let's do this for craft projects. And we've got those right there. We'll go through these very quickly. I'll show you more in just a little bit. And we'll create that space for our craft projects. And it automatically creates a list right there. So you've got these different buckets, if you will, for all the different types of things that you'd want to do. So let's go ahead and do another one. And let's call it habits, because we all want to make good habits, right? And so right here, we're going to go to next. And when you create a space, you have lots of options right here. So you can set the avatar for your space, colors so that you can color code your life, and even set up emojis to show what you would like to represent your habits. So here, let's just do, we'll use the calendar right there for our habits that we would like to track. And then you can choose who you want to share it with. So in your workspace, remember that anyone who is invited to your workspace will be able to access the space, or you can have it as private where only you can see that. Right here, because of this, we only have myself in the workspace. We're just going to have it public to the whole thing. But let's say that you're using it with your family and you want everyone to be able to access that. You'll want to share it with your workspace. Next, we'll set our statuses, and these are the workflows and the processes that we're going to go through. And as a reminder, when we're looking at the hierarchy of ClickUp, everything works from a top down perspective, the top down perspective. So everything that you'll see, you'll set things at the very top, and then it'll impact everything below. So it'll trickle down below and impact the things below. So you'll be able to see right here that we have to do and complete, which is great. That's fantastic. But what if we want to be able to see things that are in progress or things that maybe that you're blocked on? Like maybe you have to work with someone else, or you can't complete this until you're able to finish this other aspect of this project. So you can set your own statuses for exactly what it is that you would need to accomplish. We'll go over some status ideas for different personal productivity projects. And as we go next, you can turn on ClickUps, which are extra pieces of functionality that you can turn on. Things such as priority flags, so that you can give each of your tasks priorities and know what the most important thing is to tackle. You can turn on the email ClickUp, which allows you to be able to email out of ClickUp. Tags, so that you can easily organize your tasks. Custom fields, which will show multiple assignees. So if you're working on productivity for the whole family, you'll be able to use those multiple assignees, and even time tracking and time estimates. You can toggle these either on or off. Admins and owners in the workspace have access to them. Let's go ahead to the next. And the beautiful thing about ClickUp is that you have access to different views for exactly what it is that you'd like to see. And this is one of my favorite parts about ClickUp, because if you like a list view, a board view with a Kanban or Kanban style board, depending on how you like to pronounce it, you can see those. You can visualize items in a calendar. We'll toggle that on, and even have a Gantt view, which I'll show you in some of those home improvement projects. It can be very helpful for that. Table, if you love a spreadsheet, and even timeline, workload, and mind maps to be able to organize anything that you may think of. We'll review our space, and the best part is that as you do all of these things, you can go back and make changes at any time. So if you mess up, you could absolutely delete and start over. So, when we're talking about habits, there's a lot of options here for how you can work on using ClickUp to track your habits. So, let's say that you have your personal habits that you would like to work on. So, personal reading. How many people have a reading goal for 2021? In the chat section, tell me what are some of the habits that you're working on in 2021. I know that I'm working on goals for reading, drinking water, food prep, exercise, meditation. That's fantastic. Self-care, less screen time, going to bed on time. Those are some big ones. So you can absolutely create lists for various habits that you might like to have. So having that new list right there. Oh, a new habit every month. That's a great idea. So you could have a different list for different months that you want to do your habits in. So here we can even have a new list. So let's say I'm going to set up some April habits. And then let's look at some April habits that we could set up. I really like that premise right there. So you could have personal reading and have a task for each book that you would like to have. Or you could use that April habits to keep track of different habits that you would like to practice in April. So let's say journal. I saw a lot of people saying they wanted to journal daily. And then let's say Exercise. So we want to walk each day. And then let's say that we want to, let's see, I see the walking 10,000 steps. Ooh, drink water. So we want to get more water in there. So let's just go with these three. Oh, let's do the meditation one too. I see a lot of people saying that they want to work on their meditation. So right here, we have 4 of these different habits that we'd like to do every day. And so right there, we created a task for each of these items, which is really great. So what we can do, let's go ahead and open this task right here. So we know that this is the thing that we would like to do. So we have a task specifically for it. Now, if you haven't had a chance to play into using these due dates and recurring tasks, this will absolutely help you keep track of how often you've done this. So let's look at this from that journaling perspective. So we'll add a due date. And so in April, we want to do this every single day in April. So our first start date right here, we'll set recurring, and then we're going to do it daily. And on that schedule right there, we can even say when closed. So when we close the task, it's going to reoccur to be on that next day. Now, here's where this can get fun, because as you're looking to track your habits, you could absolutely create a new task. And so that means that on April 1st, after you have gone through and you've done your journaling, when you hit close, it's going to create a brand new task. In this options right here, you can also choose what it is that you want to include. So you may have a task description there where you talk about your journaling process. You may want to include attachments or any assignees. That will be important if you're assigning these to yourself. And then you can include whatever it is that you would like. The activity and comments you may not necessarily want to include, because you may use a comment to say, I journaled on this day at this time, and you may want to document that there. So you may not want to include those. Additionally, you can recur forever, or you can repeat a specific number of times, or you can even end on a specific date. So here, if I want to start on April 1st, I can choose that on April 30th, this habit that I'm tracking for the month of April can end on that day. So when I create a new task, when I have this and I finish it and I click closed, it's going to create that new task, and then it'll end on this date. So let's save it. Now it's a little bit early because right now it's only March 25th, but let's say I journaled. Yay. And so I'm leaving that comment right there so I can document what exactly it was that I did. Perfect. So let's go ahead and exit out of this task, because you can see right here that due date, and it's that recurring task. Now, let's talk about these statuses real quick before we get into showing all of those as they happen and tracking them. So here you can see that I have the open, in progress, blocked, and closed. When I click closed right here, you can see that it closed, and then it automatically created a brand new task right there. Now, where did the old one go though? Because I made a brand new task. Right here at the top, closed tasks are automatically hidden from your view. So if I click show closed, there I can see this closed task. Now let's say we want to go to the calendar view so that we can see at a glance exactly when we did everything. You'll want to add filters here, because by default, anything that is closed out will be hidden. So you can add a status filter, status is, and you'll add all of them. And when you confirm that, then you'll see on your calendar all of the previous iterations of that task. So as you're progressing through that month and marking and monitoring your personal productivity, you'll be able to see all of these different instances of how often you completed that habit that you'd like to track. You also can use the filters to filter by the task name. So if you only want to see journaling, you can do that. If you only want to see your exercise, you can do that, or drinking water, or meditation, or whatever it is that you would like to observe. So here, let's take a look at this. We're going to also use one of the powerful things with the calendar view is that you can grab these unscheduled tasks right here and you can drag and drop them onto the calendar to schedule them. And now, of course, we can just open them. We can repeat that process because I dragged and dropped it on to yesterday. I would want to clear that due date. And now I can go through the exact same recurring tasks for each one of the things that I would like to be able to recur and to track as habits. So there you can create different habit trackers for those personal habits that you'd like to keep track of. Now, as you're looking at ClickUp for personal productivity, there's a lot of options here for how you can view things. So the list view is very helpful to see things laid out as a list. Lots of people like that to-do list and being able to click through and quickly go through what it is that they have left to do. Maybe that exercising, we close that, we've done that. That list makes it really easy to just boom, 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 go through all of the things. But what if you like being able to see that board? One of the interesting things with our different views is that it's just simply shifting your perspective. It's the same things, the same tasks, just with a different perspective. It's changing the way that you look at things. So rather than having that list, now you have that board. And if you wanted to say, oh, I'm in progress, I've drunk some water today, hooray, you can drag that over to the in progress. And then at the end of the day, when you're all done, you can put that in the closed and you're good, all taken care of. So you can absolutely use the board view for these personal things that you would like to track. We already did talk about the calendar, and we can also use, let's look at the table view as a nice spreadsheet. So if you're used to using perhaps Google Sheets, you can absolutely look at all of the things that you would like to do and manage in the form of a spreadsheet. So we went over a few habits and some ideas for how you can use ClickUp to manage personal habits. Let's take a quick moment and look at some home improvement ideas because home improvement projects tend to be kind of big. So let's say that we want to create a list for your projects. And so let's pretend we're just going to work on as if we were refinishing a deck. So we're going to not refinishing, we're going to build a deck. And so here you'll have a list that is for that home improvement project. So right there with that list right there for everything that you need to do with the deck. Now, what do you have to do? So first of all, you're going to have to buy lumber, right? So you're going to have to buy the lumber that you need in order to create this deck. Then you're going to have to make sure that you have plans. It's kind of important to have those plans, right? And let's say that we're going to buy nails. We're going to schedule time to, let's actually build the deck. We're going to hire someone to help stain the deck. And let's use finish the deck. This is really simplified, okay? But a lot of these things are very important in that process. Now, here's the thing, is there's a very specific order of operations that you'll need to do all of these tasks. Just like in grade school, we learned the power of PEMDAS. We learned the power of PEMDAS, and there we learned about how it is that you solve math problems, and you have to do this first, and then this, and then this. So often with our big projects here, you absolutely have to do things in a very specific order. You can't finish the deck and weatherproof it before you've bought the lumber. So right here, you'll absolutely want to set up a view so that you can make sure that you do everything in the correct order. And that's where we can look at Gantt view and for dependencies. And so when it comes to personal productivity, a lot of times people are like, well, how do I use all of these fancy views? Like, how do I make this work here for me? And here's where you can absolutely set dependencies and schedule everything out. So, one of those first things is you're going to have to buy the lumber. So, you can go through and set a due date. So, on April 1st, we're going to buy lumber. Now, let's exit out, and you can see on the Gantt view, buy lumber is appearing. So, we can put that and we can schedule exactly when we want that to appear. Then we're going to get those plans. Let's go ahead and make sure that we get that before we buy lumber. You've got to do this first. So now we can close that. And you can also use start dates as well. So let's say that we might buy lumber sometime in there. So within that time frame, the start date is tomorrow, and then we'll have that due on Monday. And on the Gantt view, you have that right there. So we have the plans. We're going to buy lumber. Let's stain the deck and see how you can drag and drop that right there. So the plans, here's where this gets really important. Remember PEMDAS, my friends. This is how we really work on that order of operations and doing things exactly as it should be. We're going to drag and drop to schedule those dependencies. So we have the plans, then we buy the lumber, and then we're going to build the deck. And so here we're going to go ahead and scroll to that next, the next start date. Let's do the start date and the due date right there. So we'll close that, exit, and now that appears on the Gantt view. And let's say, well, that's not good. We can't stain it before that. So we're going to move that particular task to reschedule it. And now let's go ahead and build that dependency by dragging and dropping. So those arrows are right there. And same with that. Now you can also reschedule. So let's say that the week that you plan to build your deck for your personal home improvement project, it starts raining. How unfortunate, you're not going to be able to do this. So we do have a ClickUp, which is called Reschedule Dependencies. Now, right up here, there's lots of options that you can go through. So let's take a look at some of these options here where you can set path calculations, critical path, and slack time. You can dig into. Those are features of the business plan. You can even set a color scheme. Our default is this blue with the green. Milestones will appear as yellow. You can also organize it by those priorities, status, or even the list color that you have. You could export it to a PDF, show only me mode, which is tasks that are assigned to you. Right here, you have lots of these extra options. So rescheduling dependencies is the one that you're going to want to have turned on. So if it's raining the week that we plan to complete our personal home improvement project, right here, now any of those additional dependencies will automatically reschedule. Now, we've shown this from the example of building a deck and using this for your personal productivity, but the same thing applies no matter what you may do. There are lots of things where you have to follow that order of operations where this first, then this, and you'll be able to complete all of that out. So keep in mind, this is a way that you can use one of those fancy views for your own personal productivity. So there we have that Gantt view. Now, I did see that a lot of folks were asking about goals and how they could use goals to keep track of what it is that they want to do. So let's take a few minutes to go through goals and how you can use them for your personal productivity. So as a brief walkthrough of goals and how they work, let's just go ahead and set a goal. When you set a goal, you're going to basically explain what it is that you want to do. So let's say some of our friends on the chat told us that they want to read 3 books in a month. So let's use a goal of read 3 books. So right there, that is my goal name, and it's exactly what I would like to do. We'll hit OK. Hooray. And you can choose who it is who's responsible for this goal. So, me, I'm going to use that. Click OK. You can have private goals that only you can see, or everyone in your workspace is able to see and have access to. Okay, when do I want to complete this goal by? Well, let's say that we want to read those 3 books in the month of April. So we're going to scroll down and set that I want to complete this goal by April 30th of 2021. Sounds like a reasonable goal, right? We'll hit close and OK. And now I can describe this goal. So I want to read and be more informed. So, right there, that's the description of this goal and what I'm looking to accomplish with this. When I hit OK, then it creates that goal. So, I have that right there. I want to read 3 books. You can absolutely go through here and rename it if you need to, change the color, or you could create goal folders on the business plan. We're just going to keep this as it is. Well, not as it is. Let's change the color to make it look fun. I use this color. Fun fact, for my weekly goals that I set here at ClickUp, I always immediately go to this color so that I can see exactly which goals are mine at a glance. You may want to color code your goals, whether it be personal home improvement goals, crafts, cooking, exercise, whatever it is, and you can use those colors to quickly go from goal to goal. Now, I have a great goal, 3 books, but when you want to make a goal, you want them to be SMART goals. So we all know about how people will use that acronym where it's specific and it's got time attached to it. And you really want to make sure that this is a reasonable goal and that it's attainable. I really said the SMART goal in the most not in order way possible. But the reality is that specific goals get specific. You specifically are able to achieve them. So you want to lay out exactly what it is there that you would like to achieve here. So if I want to read 3 books, then I want to create targets that are those specific measurable targets that I have to do in order to accomplish this goal. So let's create a target. So I'm going to read Leaders Eat Last. Right there. That's a great book. Simon Sinek knows where it's at. So we're going to click OK. I am the owner for this goal. OK. And this is a number 0 to 1. Super cool. Thank you, Brian, for the SMART goals right there. I see you in the chat. I appreciate that. Specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and timely. That is wonderful. I've also heard it said as attainable, but that's a great, great, great way of putting together goals. So you do have the option of saying it's a number between 1 or 0 and any number. And so you'll track your progress towards it. It could be a true false goal. I've either read it or I have not. If you have fiscal goals, savings goals, you could use money for that. You can also track the completion of tasks in order to complete out that goal. We're going to go with the true false in this scenario and click OK. So there is one of my 3 goals. I want to read Leaders Eat Last. Next, we're going to read another one, Radical Candor. That's a great book as well. And so we're going to go OK and repeat this process. As you go through, you'll find that as you're setting your goals, you'll get faster and faster and faster. We're going to add one last one super quick, just so you can see the really cool part of this. So one that I have on my desk and I enjoy is Strengths Finder. I like knowing everyone's strengths. So I'm going to click OK. That's assigned to me. True, false. Now, as you're putting together these goals, let's back out of here 1 second. You can see all of the goals that you have created for yourself. So whether it be that you want to read books, you want to achieve exercise goals, whatever it is, you can see them all on this screen. Now you can see that it is at 0% because I haven't done any of these things. Now let's say that I have finished right here We're going to hit Leaders Eat Last, finished, and I read it. You can leave notes there for yourself if you would like to be able to have access to that later. We'll update that. And right here, you can see your note in that timeline. And as you achieve your goals, you'll be getting the confetti right there. So now you can see that I'm 33% of the way. Super cool. Now, here's the thing. Reading 3 books with that true false, super helpful. But what about for those folks who are thinking about, well, I want to exercise for 30 days in April. Let's make a new goal. So for that personal productivity, let's say April exercise, and we'll just call it April exercise goal. Okay, I'm the owner of that. Okay, personal productivity workspace, cool. And we'll put that end date. We're going to scroll down to the end of April. I want to complete that by. Okay, I want to walk every day. So let's say that my favorite kind of exercise is walking. I like it because I can listen to my books at the same time. Knock out 2 goals at once. How cool is that? Remember that we talked about color coding, so you can change the color. And let's go with green for our exercise goal. It's pretty bright, but there you can see it. So now let's create that target. So we're going to do walk every day. Okay, I am the owner of this goal. Okay, and now we can set this number. So now we know that there are 30 days in April. We can hit OK. And now I have 0 of 30. So then on April 1st, I can jump in here, click, and update my goal. So then I'll have 1 day. April 1st, done. Hooray. And update. And there you go. You can see 1 out of 30. And I'm 3% of the way towards my goals. So now there you can keep track of exactly what it looks like as you're achieving your goals. You can see your percentage towards each of these items, and that will make it very easy for you to keep up with the goals that you have. So, and of course, you'll be able to, as you open it, see your previous progress towards your goals as you've added those key results, as you have completed parts of it, those will show. And as always, when it's finished and you update, you'll see that confetti to celebrate your achievements towards your goals. And then once you've finished reading all of your books, hooray, 100%, and it turns green to indicate that you're done with your goal. You've completed it. Just as a fun fact, this is the same green that you'll see on all of your completed tasks. So one thing to note is as you are working with statuses in ClickUp, no matter what it is that you're seeking to accomplish, the green closed status is the only one that can't be changed. That way you can see at a glance, no matter where you are in your workspace, that green number, that green color will show that it is done. So you'll see that consistently across the entire workspace. Now, let's say that I decide partway through in April that you want to try to make some changes right there. And so you can click here, you can rename it, but you still would have that 1 of 30. You would have to create a new target if you wanted to change the number of days that you walked. So if you wanted to walk every single weekday right here, you could edit that target. So let's say 25. I don't recall how many weekdays. Let's go with 24. And so there you can edit that target right there. How cool. So you can use that to keep track of all of your goals. Now, let's talk about a couple of things, because when it comes to personal productivity, we'll go back over to our spaces. There are going to be some things that are a little bit more important than others. Hey, look, it's our home improvement. And you're going to want to keep them in your favorites. So that makes it really easy to access everything at a quick glance. In your list settings right here, you can click Add to Favorites. So let's say that we're actively in the process of working on building our deck and we need to finish that out, and I want to quickly access it. I'll add that to the favorites, and right here at the top, we can see favorites, and I can open that to quickly access the things that I use the most. You can even pin your favorites right there to the top of your screen so that you can easily and quickly access them. And of course, that ellipsis menu, like I said, anytime that you see the ellipsis, that means there's a menu hidden behind it, and we can quickly remove that favorite so it doesn't appear at the top of the screen. Once your deck project is finished, you won't need to see that there, so you're good. So let's talk about a few other ideas of how you can use this for personal productivity. One of the things is that a lot of people see project management software and they think, well, I can't really use this for my personal projects. That doesn't make sense. Well, you absolutely can. And so here, let's talk about a few ideas on how you can use it for craft projects. I use craft, but this could really be applied to anything. Let's actually go ahead and say, well, maybe I don't want to just have a craft projects list. Maybe I want to have hobbies. And so you can review these changes. And we've got those hobbies right there. So let's say that we have a craft project and we're going to paint painting. So we want to have our art hobbies right there. Or you have, let's say that you want to have a new list for your cooking projects because you got really good at cooking. And so here you can have all of these items right here. So you can create tasks specifically for your painting. So by paints, wow, it would help to spell it correctly. See, this is the great thing. You absolutely can go through and edit anything. So you're going to want to buy paints. That's a project that you may have of buying and organizing your paints. You may want to get canvas right there. So you've got those different items there that you're working on. And you may have a birdhouse project that you're going to paint. So you can set all of those tasks up right there. Custom fields. Custom fields are fantastic because you can put all kinds of data into them. So you can add custom fields by clicking this plus sign. And right here, you can create a new field of pretty much anything that you would like to show. So let's say that you want to have, let's say a file. You want to add a picture to it. And so you want to show that, or you want to label items, or even keep track of how much money. So let's say for your personal projects, you have budget. Let's actually add a money custom field. So right there, you have a budget field. So you have, let's say you have $100 to buy paints, and you have, let's go with $20 for a canvas. And then for this birdhouse project here, you have 150 invested into it. That's a fancy birdhouse, and hopefully the birds really appreciate how much money and effort you've put into this. Now, you can also go through and fill out the assignee. And just as a note, for personal productivity purposes, I highly recommend always assigning tasks to yourself. The really cool thing is if you hover your mouse over the assignee and you press M, 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 it will automatically assign to me, me, me. And so that makes it very easy to keep track of these different tasks that I am doing. And if I wanted to assign someone else and they are a part of the workspace, I can just click here, unassign myself, and I could click there to add someone else. Now, I am the only one in this workspace at this time. So there you go. You have that option. You can also add formula custom fields. So right there in the formula, you could take different things and keep track of it. So maybe you want to track the number of days between the start date and the due date, or you want to track maybe your budget and how much spent. So let's use another money field. We'll use that money, actual spend. So we're going to add that one. And so let's say that you went to the store and you went to buy paints, but they were on sale. So you only spent $60. What a deal. There, you can do that. And then you got your canvas, but it was $24. Uh-oh. And there, your birdhouse ended up being, let's say, 96. We'll use a nice random number. You can use that formula field right here to create a difference between your budget and what was spent. So difference, and we'll add that column, and you can create the formula to take your budget minus your actual spend. We'll do that minus right there. And you can calculate that. So you can see there was a $40 difference. Went $4 over right there. And you have that $54 difference right there. So if you do want to use ClickUp maybe for your personal budgeting or keeping track of expenses, you can absolutely do that right there. Same thing, even with cooking, you could have recipes that you keep track of. You could have different tasks for different things that you'd like to do right within there. Now, here's the thing. There are so many things, my friends. When you're looking at this, you've got these different columns, and maybe you don't want them because maybe some of these cooking, like let's say that you want to keep tasks for different recipes you want to make, and they don't necessarily need an assignee, they don't need a due date. Let's just go to this one and show some of these fun things. We're going to exit that. And let's say that I want to make cookies and I want to make cake. You can tell I've already had my lunch and now I want dessert. And so I want brownies. So I'm keeping all of these ideas of recipes that I'd like to make. You can use this as ideas. So let's go here and add some custom fields and we'll use them for organization. So you can add a drop-down custom field and let's use type. And so for your recipes, dessert and entree and side dish. You can even add colors right here. Let's use that one. We're just going to grab some fun colors and orange, and we'll add this column. So now I can have this type. So cookies, dessert, cake, dessert, brownies, dessert. Hey, hey. So now the priority. I don't need priority, so I can right click on here and hide this column. I can right click here. I can hide this column. Right click here, hide this column. So if you right click, you can hide any of those different columns. So you don't have to see that. Now, let's say that you've been on the internet and there's some really cool recipes out there. Click that plus sign. Let's keep track of the website. So link to recipe. So there's a blog that I was looking at last night called All Day I Dream About Cooking. And I got really excited. There was some good looking recipes. So I may be looking at making some tasks to keep track of some things that I want to make. But you can have a link to that recipe. Let's say food.com right there. You've got that link. You can keep track of that. Now, again, let's look at that calendar. We're going to add a calendar view. And let's say that you're looking at when are you going to make these? I'm going to make cookies on this day. I'm going to make cake on this day. I'm going to make brownies on this day. And so you can even make some plans of when you're going to cook these meals. How fun, right? You don't have to use that due date or anything specifically, but it does help you to be able to see when you'd like to make it. So that way you can keep track of all of these recipes that you would like to be able to make. Now, we added this custom field right here. Super cool, right? We do have items and statuses, which when you're looking at the statuses, those are great. But if you are just organizing data, it's cool. That's cool. But you can also, you're not just stuck with statuses for organizing here. So you could always group by a custom field. And so here we want to group by the type. So all of our desserts are grouped together. And let's go ahead and click T and we can create a new task. So those keyboard shortcuts really help a lot for that personal productivity. So let's say we're going to make green beans and cooking. We can see these custom fields, the type, that is a side dish. We'll create that task. And right there, you can see that as a side dish, all those grouped together. And let's say that we see baked salmon. It's tasty. And we're going to have that as an entree. Create that task. And now that's right there. So you can see all of these grouped by their type. Whew, how fun. Now, let's say that you also decide that you're really going to dig in deep. You could absolutely have the list of ingredients here within that recipe, and you could keep track of all of them there. You could even use, if you wanted, subtasks to You could use subtasks to have the ingredients list so that you know that I need to buy salmon, I need to buy butter. And so you can see that those items right there that you would need to buy. So if you wanted to create a shopping list, you could just add a new view, list view. Remember, you can have more than one of any of these types of views. You can add on the unlimited plus plans, you can have unlimited views. So we have that right there. We're going to rename this view and we're going to call it shopping list. And so we'll say show our subtasks, expand all. So now you can see all of those different items that you need to get. Now, let's say that you really like your baked salmon and your green beans and you want to make it more than once. You can just go over here. Let's look at that right there with those circles. You've got the multitask toolbar. And so this gives you lots of options to make some bulk edits. Yeah, I'd recommend that you explore this, but there are some options. I'm pretty sure it looks like not on this one yet. That is a feature request to duplicate tasks. You can move it. There it is, duplicate tasks. So we can duplicate that. And so we could say in our hobbies right here, our cooking, we're going to duplicate that baked salmon. So now we can have that on multiple days and have 2 instances of it. And so when we've made it that first day, boom, all done. We'll resolve those because those are those checklist items the subtasks that we had planned to purchase. Let's pretend we went to the grocery store during this time and we did that. And there you go. You just duplicated that task and you can schedule it for whatever day it is that you do want to do it. So there you go. Now, when it comes to a lot of these hobbies and such, there is the timing feature. So you want to know how much time you spend doing things. So as an example, let's say that you want to learn how to play a musical instrument. I actually did this within ClickUp because I like to practice playing the harp. So here we have this new list and we're going to say learn instrument. And so we have tasks for the different types of music. So let's say I want to play Can't Help Falling in Love. So that's a piece of music that I'm working on. So here, as I'm working on this habit, as I'm working on getting better, use the time tracked functionality. So here, when you click that to start the timer, now you're tracking the time that you spend on this task. And so you'll be able to see how much time you're investing into developing and creating this habit. We do have about 9 minutes left. We have covered a lot of the things that I wanted to show you in the personal productivity webinar. We talked about hobbies, habits, home improvement, goals. I do want to show you one thing, but do go ahead and in the Q&A, if you have some questions, go ahead and drop them there. But let's go real quick over everything. Because here's the thing, that's really great that you can look at the painting, the cooking, the instrument, the home improvement. But when it comes to everything, as you're managing everything in your life, you can click everything and see what is literally everything. So here I can see all of it. So I can see all the painting tasks, all the cooking tasks, all of my instrument learning tasks, and my personal reading and my journal and my April habits and my deck, all the things that we're doing. So here you can use that to be able to see what is most important to you, whether it be that calendar for that high level view to see everything that you are keeping track of, everything that you're working on, all in that calendar. And you can set it so that you can see the full month for that big picture perspective. You can choose to see a week so that you can sit down like I do every Sunday and I work on looking at what is it that I have to do this week. If you do have time specifically for your tasks, you can absolutely see them on the calendar. So let's just go ahead and say, awesome task right there. And that is going to show on the calendar for the time that you're doing it. So there you can see those all connected. That will be helpful because then you can see your days all planned out, reschedule if you need to, which is really helpful, especially for those of you who like to sit down and plan your days like I do. I love having a calendar to be able to look at, to understand what it is that I need to do. And if you have everything very well scheduled, You can even show just a day. And so right there, you can just go through and see everything that is scheduled for that specific day. I didn't have anything on this specific day, but let's go ahead and put a quick task on here. Spend time with my friends in a webinar. That should be on your calendar too, because we did spend that time together. And so you can even see the line right through there showing exactly where in the day we are. So I hope that does help a lot to be able to see how you can see everything and even drill down to see exactly what it is that you want to see. So I'm taking a quick peek at this Q&A to see about some of these questions. So Milton, you're asking about how to plan your tasks for the day and rescheduling tasks that don't get done. Well, that's absolutely doable. So right here, even on this view, that calendar for the day, you can see that I have some of these tasks that are unscheduled that appear in the side, and I can just drag and drop them onto that day to plan them. And then as I finish, I'm almost done with the webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that complete. I know about 5 minutes too early, but that means that on that calendar, I can just mark that off. Now, remember right here, you have that filter where if I want to see all of the items, so let's go ahead. And now we can see those closed tasks. I do like to show my closed tasks on my calendar because I like to be able to look at it and see everything that I have done. And anytime that you do make changes like that to the view, you'll want to click Save View, save it there for everyone so that any changes that you make in the filters will show. I hope that helps for that day planning. You can just grab those. Let's just throw that. I'm going to practice harp later this afternoon. I'll put drag and drop that onto there. And I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to do 30 minutes there. And then I can just keep on going, planning out my day. Let's look. We've got a lot of questions here, some about calendars, dragging and dropping in the home. So Adam, you have a question there about dragging and dropping into the home or calendar view without changing the main due date. At this time, no, that's a great question. We love feedback. Feedback.clickup.com is one of my best friends. Let's take a look at it. Feedback.clickup.com. One of the things that makes ClickUp great is that we love to hear from you. So just pop over there. Tell us what it is that you're looking for. We love hearing from you. So just go and vote and on any features that you'd like to be able to see and what you'd like to implement. And there you can absolutely, once you're a voter for a feature request, you can get updated specifically on those items and when action is taken on that. That will be very helpful for getting to know about stuff. So I do see that Julia here is asking about tags. Tags are really fun. There's a lot that you can do with them. And one of the cool things about them is that you can group and filter by these tags as well. So when you are on a task, you can hover, edit tags. So let's say I want to put together my shopping list. And so I'm in the hobbies. I can use a tag right there because I want to be able to organize. It's just another layer of organization. And so in my hobby space, I'm on that space level. So it means I'm going to see everything in there. And I need to buy items for my baked salmon. Remember, expand all subtasks. Let's just go here and tag it. I need to get those from the store. Okay, store. And then you can even use filters to only be able to see those specifically tagged items. So right here, filter tags is, and now that makes it really easy to get a big picture perspective. Remember, we have to show all of our subtasks. If you want to show them, you'll want to show them as separate tasks because if the parent task doesn't have a tag, there you go. Now you can see all of those different items. That's just one of those fun ways that you can use tags. Julia, there are lots of ways. I recommend just exploring how you can add them to your workflows, get them out there so that it makes it easy for you to have that secondary layer of organization. That's just a small example of it. My friends, we have about 3 minutes left. We've had some great questions. It's been fun going over how you can use a project management software for personal organization and for the personal things that you'd like to do. You don't have to be a company. You don't have to be a business. You don't have to be all that stuff there to be able to utilize ClickUp effectively for your own things. So let's go ahead and take one last look at something that I'd like you to see, and that's home. Home really does help as a nice one-stop shop for everything that you need to do. Now, this workspace is brand spanking new, so there's not a lot of things right here, but you can see that these unscheduled tasks appear right down here, and these are my to-do items. They are assigned to me. If you want to see anything in home, it has to be assigned to you. So these 3 items right here are showing because I assign them to me. I can drag and drop them right there to make that one due today. And let's put that one in next. So that's coming up. And then we have that one unscheduled. Let's go ahead and put that on today as well. That way you can see what it is that you have to do. You can even see comments when you have assigned comments. You can even see your done things. And if you have others in your workspace, you can even see delegated items. Lineup would be the most important stuff. So let's say that buying paints is really important. We can click that ellipsis menu, add it to lineup for me, and we'll click out of here. And so you can use that to set your priorities. So these are one of those top 3 kind of things that you need to do. And so you'll be able to set priorities whenever you can see all the items in the lineup. You'll be able to see, oh, I need to buy paints and whatever else it is that you've added there. You can see your trending tasks. These are the ones that you spend the most time on. They'll appear right there. And you can see your agenda right here. You can also integrate your Google Calendar. If you have any questions about how to do that, go to docs.clickup.com and you'll be able to see exactly how to add your Google Calendar, and you're good to go. Thank you all so much for spending time with us today. This has been a very fun hour. As always, this webinar has been recorded. We will be posting it to our YouTube channel for you to review at your leisure. Really appreciate all the fantastic questions that all of you have asked. We really appreciate how many of you have joined. We want to recognize that you've made time to spend time with us. We don't take it lightly. It is a privilege. It is an honor to be able to spend this time with you. I hope this was helpful and that you learned at least one thing that you can apply to your ClickUp to make you more personally productive. Have a fantastic day.